Welcome to the resurrected podcast. This is King of Podcasts here with you. Even though I got my hard drive back, I still can't get the production to work right, so I don't know what I'm going to do if I just put it all back together or something like that. I'll figure something out. But either which way, here I am, back for another episode. Thanks for listening in. Finding the show as you always do. WrestlingIsReal.com is the website where everything's at. If you want to find everything that's going on with me, you want to donate to the show, you can do that. That'll be nice. You donate through my PayPal. If you want to go and help out the show, that'd be a really nice thing to, little tip of the cap for your Uncle King of Podcasts for doing the show for over 10 years on this program. Now, there's a number of things I want to bring up tonight. Specifically, the return of the WWE World Heavyweight title. Now, look, I don't know how long I'm going to go on this rant, but I called it a main event consolation prize. That's what it is. Let's go back a little bit. Now, we know that the original World Heavyweight Championship was the original WCW World Heavyweight Championship. The Universal title is the renaming of the WWE Championship, or the WWE Heavyweight Championship that Hulk Hogan would have held back in the day, or Savage, or whoever. Now, at this point, bringing this championship back tells you everything that you have to hear about when it comes to what was the answer that we're going to have after WrestleMania if Roman Reigns were to hold on to the belt after that. And he defeated Cody Rhodes. This is what they're doing. Now, we don't know what's going to happen until the draft, so we can find out which side or what is going to be going after that title, but my guess it'll be a Raw title. So bringing the draft and giving focus to that again, and by having this belt over on this brand, the belt looks nice. Yes, let's bring that point up first. It does look nice. It's not the way they've been doing the other belts, the way it looks like. Okay, I get that part. So Triple H makes the announcement. They do this here on a night that Raw, everybody's talking about, that Vince McMahon once again is messing with the scripts, as always. I'm tired of trying to bring that all up and trying to explain things and just go through it. It's like, it's whatever, man. I am so tired of it. But everybody wants to go and bring that up. Everybody wants to go and get all attacking about it. So it's just the way people are going to do it, right? Whatever. But this bill comes back. And I'm saying to myself, the fact that people want to see this bill come back, the diehard fans are happy about it, right? The IWC is happy about it. They see this belt because they see, now they're going to get a chance to fight for a belt because they know that Roman's never going to get that belt. He's never going to give it up. That he's going to make 1,000 days, pretty clear. And that's what matters. And so with Roman Reigns, you have no opponent built up or ready to go ahead and take him up. You could have set another matchup with Roman and Cody, but you don't want to do that. So there is not one opponent set up for Roman Reigns to go after the World Heavyweight or the Universal title. So we're just conceding the fact that Roman Reigns is going to stay Universal Champion for a long time. And they have to build somebody in order to be that champion. So much like the IC title is the workers' belt on the SmackDown side, the World Heavyweight title will be the workers' belt on the Raw side. I actually like the idea that we didn't have both belts. Now remember, this is all because the company was put into a corner because Roman got COVID, remember? And then they couldn't have that match where Roman was in the Fatal 5-Way, right? Or defending against Brock Lesnar, that's what it was, at day one. So then they had a match where Brock Lesnar, that's what it was, right? Brock Lesnar wins in a 5-way, the Universal Championship, right? And then Roman wins it back. And I forget how they had it. Oh, no, that's right. So then, that's when it was. Yeah, Brock wins the WWE Championship, or the Universal title. And Roman, I forget how it was, but all I know is that they both were champion versus champion. They had to build that desperation WrestleMania match because they had nothing else on the card they could build to make that WrestleMania even bigger. The biggest match of all time. They decided to go for that. And they never had an answer how they were going to write themselves out of it. They never did. But then this bloodline thing came in where the Usos attached themselves to Roman Reigns. Okay. And then you have some creative people creating the bloodline. Well, I'm sure that Paul Heyman has some kind of something to do with this as well. And the reason why you have this now is because the bloodline storyline is not going anywhere, right? Now, they did do something where they did get some kind of retribution for the faces in the bloodline by having the Usos lose the belts at WrestleMania to Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. So that was a boost for them. And they were building up to that. The fact that Cody was going to try to do the same thing with Roman Reigns did not happen, and that's fine. And there's still quite a consensus out there that says that Cody didn't need to win the belt right then and there. It's only his first attempt. You can work your way back up to him there. But that's fine. Now that Cody and Brock are going to face each other, you're going to have obstacles in Cody's way until he ultimately does win that title. But the bottom line is the World Heavyweight title, bringing that back once again, tells me and tells the locker room that is it Vince? Is it Triple H? Is it the company itself? They have no confidence whatsoever in not one superstar in that locker room, in that dressing room, that will be capable enough or credible enough to beat Roman Reigns for that title. Not one. So no to Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn are World Tag Team Champions, so it doesn't matter for them. But what else? Who else is there that could be elevated to get to that level? Well, they can't tap into any part-timers or any legends to be able to go ahead and fit that. So I don't know who they're going to get Roman Reigns to take on as a champion coming up. And with Cody, he is the one that was built up to be the possibility. He's still strong enough right now being booked to do that. Now, the question is going to be, is he going to beat Brock Lesnar? Or are they going to give him a good feud to where ultimately Cody will get the ultimate victory of the feud over Brock Lesnar? Where they probably build this out, starting off at Backlash and going through SummerSlam with these two. If they could do that. I mean, Cody did only come back a year ago, and they still need to have him run through more of the roster because that, what was it, about a good 7 months, 8 months, 9 months that he wasn't able to wrestle. This is him making up for lost time. Like, he was in the company for a year, but hurt for most of it. Only had the Seth Rollins feud. And these are probably the feuds he probably had to go ahead and have before he got up to Roman. Because right now, Roman's been put up and built so big that you can't do anything up with him right now. You're just going to have to live with the fact that it's not going to be happening yet. Okay? Maybe we're not going to get to the point where Cody, maybe deservedly so, in some IWC members' minds, that they should go farther with him. I understand if they don't. But at this point of the game, it's like, well, this doesn't help any matters at all. What needs to be understood is it's a secondary belt. The IC title has been built as a pretty important belt, but you know what? The United States Championship that Austin Theory holds, and when they tried to make that title mean something even bigger, when you had Seth Rollins holding it, or you had Austin Theory and Bobby Lashley vying for it, and you were doing those main event matches at the end of Raw with Seth Rollins holding that U.S. title and trying to do that, right? Because you need to have a belt that mattered. So listen, the U.S. title and IC title have been elevated. Gunther's a long-time champion as well. But no matter what, by bringing back a retired belt, I mean, you might not call it that because are we going to start counting this towards the WCW World Heavyweight title reigns? Are the reigns of the WCW World Heavyweight Championship going to go down the line and this is going to continue it? This has got to be a new belt, new legacy altogether. Because the original WCW World Heavyweight title went away when that WrestleMania match with Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns happened to combine the belts. They did not split the belts. Now, the answer that they were talking about back in December about, well, they want to be able to run house shows with the Raw and SmackDown brands with 2 different titles. This is their answer. We're not going to resolve the issue with Roman Reigns. We're not going to split the belts off of him. So Roman Reigns now basically can just consider himself Universal Champion, and that WWE title that was around no longer matters. That belt is now engulfed into this title, and that's it. And there are no opponents right now in the bullpen for Roman Reigns to take on. What are you going to do with him then? Is he going to take time off? Is he going to go away for a while? Will it be something that they're not going to consider any rules about how often he defends the belt? That doesn't matter. But in the old system of having a part-timer hold the championship like a Brock Lesnar, then what you do is you had the Universal title, which originally Universal title was the workers' belt, with Finn Balor holding it, then Seth Rollins, and then you go across the board, and Kevin Owens holding it. But now, with Roman Reigns, this belt is so significantly with Roman. I mean, no one's worrying about that belt right now. It's just going to be a fixture on Roman Reigns' waist with no opponents. Is that the right thing to do? I would have preferred, I would have kept doing something with Roman and somehow take the belt off of him. But they're going to stay stubborn and steadfast, and they're just going to stick with Roman for the duration, because that's what they want. It doesn't matter to them anything else more than that. They would just rather let Roman do his thing. I don't even know what they're going to do with him. If he's going to wrestle anybody between now and SummerSlam. Between now and what? Well, I mean, I would think he would have to go and wrestle at Night of Champions in Saudi Arabia. Like, what do you do? I mean, the storyline has been the bloodline dealing with various people. Right now, Matt Riddle, Cody Rhodes, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens. And on the other side, the bloodline is itself. And then you put the Judgment Day also intertwined with that group. But that's it. I mean, there's nothing in this storyline now that involves Roman Reigns. You already put Cody Rhodes on a detour for that storyline of him trying to get redemption or retribution on Roman Reigns for getting screwed out of that title victory. And now Cody has to deal with Brock. So Roman gets a break. And there is no one set up for Roman to take on. So what are you going to do next? There's no resolution here. I just don't like that. And as far as I'm concerned, for WrestleMania offseason, Roman's going to be a non-factor. And I don't know if he's going to be doing anything else. As far as I don't think they're going to. I don't think they care. I really don't think they care right now about what happens with him anyways. They're just going to go along and move with him, and he's just going to continue to be out there. Now, one of the things we don't know yet is what brand is going to be holding on to what. Because then also, do the broadcast networks get to say who Roman Reigns stays with? Ringside News reports that USA Network wants Roman Reigns and the Bloodline on Raw. Paul Heyman, Usos, and Solo Sikoa are a package deal, what they want. And the situation is difficult. And so right now, Roman Reigns has limited dates. And a title belt exclusive to Raw is second choice for USA Network. Bloodline is still their first choice, the priority. But it's not an option because of contracts. So that's the word about that. If they can't get the Bloodline regularly on Raw, they think, well, if they have the World Heavyweight title and they're using it properly, here's what they're going to do. They're going to probably have something where they're going to be able to go and get a lot of traction out of that World Heavyweight title, because I think the way they've been booking other champions, from the IC to the US champions to the Raw and SmackDown Women's champions, I think they're going to do a pretty good job of building more than enough people on the roster on Raw or SmackDown to be able to go ahead and contend for said belt, especially where they're going to do Night of Champions. And that's the whole idea. Sports Sure wants to put out like the potential names that should be challenging Roman Reigns at Night of Champions. Finn Balor's one. Bray Wyatt's one. Riddle. Shinsuke Nakamura. Sheamus. Omos. Bobby Lashley. Well, these are the ones that should, and then they say about ones that shouldn't challenge. Omos shouldn't challenge. Bobby Lashley shouldn't challenge. Gunther, Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes should not challenge. You know why? Because either which way, I'd imagine that the World Heavyweight title is going to go over to Raw. Seth Rollins remains, so will Cody Rhodes. And you let those guys, along with Riddle and others, and Lashley, you let them go after that World Heavyweight title. But no one's going to get to go after Roman and his belt. They don't want to do that. And see all those names right there, even if those are the names they have right now that they could put, that could go after Roman Reigns, with Cody or Seth or Gunther or Bobby Lashley. Let me put it to you like this. There's an easy storyline built in for Seth and Roman. Like, you could still do that match. There's a lot of storyline to that. Why don't they want to tell that story? Why do they want to keep Seth in these feuds that keep him away from doing anything else? Like, ever since the U.S. title run, Logan Paul, now Omos. Seth Rollins is hot. He is a hot commodity. He is over. And you don't want to put him into this. And there have been little nuggets of times where Roman and Seth confronted each other, and Roman could go and deal with Seth, and Seth could go after the belt. They should do this. Why don't they want to do this? I understand when it came to Cody Rhodes coming in, because of the momentum he came in with, and he still has. But they don't want to do anything here. Like, it just matters what Roman, where Roman is in the picture. And there is no one they feel that they can build up. They're incapable, WWE, of building anyone up to Roman Reigns' level. They don't want to. And even then, someone who is considered inferior to Roman Reigns makes it so that Roman Reigns can never lose that belt. The limited dates only help out Roman Reigns so he never gets hurt. But what would that be like if the fact is that Roman Reigns did get hurt? God forbid. And that's the way he loses that belt, and that's the way the whole thing sets up. But there's nothing they have right now that's going to fix anything of this problem. They don't have an answer here. And that's my problem with all this. It doesn't matter what they're doing here. There's just no resolution whatsoever. They're just going to leave things the way they are. That's it. That's all that matters to them. I don't like any of this going on like this going on. The draft doesn't matter to me whatsoever. It doesn't. It's something interesting to watch. Fine. Maybe somebody comes back from the draft, so they're talking about that Big E might be rumored to be part of the WWE draft, that maybe he's already recovered from his major neck surgery, his injury. Maybe they have that, and there's a report from WRKD Wrestling that there's a long-term pitch for a period of feud with a New Day. and Big E and Gunther would be a featured match. I don't know if that would be much or anything at all. But you could shuffle whatever you want with the draft. It doesn't make a difference. Doesn't make much of a difference at all. And then, I mean, we have what you're setting up right now. Besides the Bloodline storyline, you're going to have basically this kind of like this tournament, this contendership, whatever they're going to do to get things ready for this World Heavyweight title. Because they need to make a big deal out of it. Maybe you have qualifying matches for Night of Champions, and then you have the small mini tournament the night of. To crown a new champion. Okay. And I'll tell you what. People keep talking about the fact that if there's anybody that should go after Roman Reigns and that world and the Universal title, the next big star is LA Knight. They really think he's another Rock. I don't buy it. You want a copycat? Feel free. But LA Knight's not the answer. And there is nobody young on that roster on the men's side. Let me just make that point. The men's side. There is no one they have over there on that men's side that really stands out that tells me, okay, that we got some promising things going on. Flower Breaker is not the answer, all right? Now, people want to put a lot of things when it comes to the women's side about who could come from NXT from the draft and make it into the main roster. So instead of the NXT debuts, we have this draft now that could bring some NXT stars over. Which that makes sense to go and do it this way. That's fine. But when I'm looking at it, and I'm saying to myself, all right, Cora Jade. People are trying to say that she looks like she could definitely make her way up. PW Insider reports the management was really hot on Jade after a match for WWE main event. And Tuesday on NXT, she took on Lyra Valkyria and lost to Nikki Cross on main event. So they're trying to say that might be worked out. Okay. But I would take Roxanne Perez, who no longer has the belt. I would take her absolutely to go up from the main into the main roster. Cora Jade? No, not yet. Gigi Dolan? Sure. Like there are some women on that roster on the women's side of NXT that still have some promise. Tiffany Stratton, I still think, I mean, she might not be, there's a lot of girls that are not great in the ring, but it doesn't make a difference. The appeal and the promotability and the way their presentation is enough to bring some certain stars over. And there's a number of women they could bring over right now and do something with. Wouldn't have an issue with that if that was the case. But then after that, you're saying to yourself, all right, well, what's next? Where else do you go in the draft? Like, you can shuffle people all you want, but Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair are champions right now. You have an exhausted roster of stars that have been around. Many that came from the Women's Revolution that have just been around, and they're just doing the same thing over and over. Look, Becky Lynch is not involved in any of it. They decided to do an offshoot with her and Trish Stratus. Great. Bayley and Damage Control, non-factor. No Alexa Bliss to be heard of. So what else do you got? Right? There's nothing else. And that might be okay. Listen, they don't have anybody set. So, like, this is the thing. WrestleMania and coming out of WrestleMania, where's the plan? Because there is no plan. Like, if I want to go and look at what they've been doing so far, let's try it. Let's take a look. So, SmackDown. Just going for this last week. Tell me if there's anything that you see in here that tells you what they're going in direction in terms of storyline to build up championship matches or what they're going to be doing at Backlash. Now, Backlash is already set with a couple of matches, right? They're already set up now where at Backlash, you're going to see, well, they got a bunch of matches already set up. Bad Bunny, Damian Priest in a San Juan street fight. Io Sky and Bianca Belair, Raw Women's title. We've seen that match before. Seth Rollins versus Omos. U.S. Championship Austin Theory versus Bobby Lashley versus Ross and Reed. Rhea Ripley and Zelina Vega for the SmackDown Women's title. That's more of like a posture because Zelina is performing in her home crowd in Puerto Rico. Or, nationality anyway. Cody Rhodes and Brock Lesnar. And then the Bloodline and a 6-man tag against Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Matt Riddle. Good. All together. But these are some one-off matches. Io Sky, Zelina Vega, for those women's titles are one-offs. Those major belts, Universal title, not being defended. World Heavyweight title will not be dealt with until Night of Champions, right? And that's not until when? May 27th. So 3 weeks after that. And then, World Tag Team titles not being defended. So you got 4 matches going on. Austin Theory, Bobby Lashley, Bronson Reed, right? And that's been like a trio that's been working with each other for a while now. And the Cody and Brock, that's kind of like the gimmick of what happens to see who takes on Roman Reigns at some point. With no idea what they're going to do with the World Heavyweight title. And who's going to go against what at Night of Champions. But they're going to have to worry about that until after Backlash next week. They'll figure out what they're going to do with that. So with that said, they have that going on. Now, in the build-up for Backlash, it has nothing to do with what long-term storylines are going forward. Because what they're getting out of the storylines is the Bloodline dealing with the recluses that are responsible for the Usos losing the World Tag Team titles. Matt Riddle, who wants to go after Roman Reigns after all the stuff before because of the attacks. Cody having his obstacle with Brock Lesnar. Those 2 matches encompass the whole Bloodline storyline anyway. And then everything else are just one-offs. Except for like a new program with Seth Rollins and Omos. I don't know if that lasts long or what they're going to do with it. But that's where we're at right now. So let's look at the SmackDown results. Because, what they're doing now are some TV things related that don't matter with anything. The Women's Tag Team title feud, the IC title, that's not even considered anywhere else on Backlash. They're not even part of the Backlash part, right? They're just exclusively the SmackDown. The LWO Judgment Day, also exclusive to SmackDown. And then the Bloodline with Riddle and Solo Sikoa, which is an ongoing storyline of different faces versus the Bloodline as the big heel faction. But there's nothing about any of that makes much of a difference. And then if you move along and we continue and say, okay, well, let's go look at Raw. If we look at that show, Bad Bunny searching for payback, and that was a setup, and the only setup they had leading up for Backlash. And then Cody setting things up with Brock Lesnar. Usos against LWO. So they're getting run on both shows right now, but don't matter for anything at the moment. And then the setup for Bianca Belair and Io Sky again. Trish and Becky, they're setting their things up, but that match isn't going to be held. We're not going to see anything with Trish and Becky until maybe Night of Champions, but they're not going to be on Backlash. Street Profits against the remnants of Hurt Locker, or the Hurt Business. Non-factor. And then a setup for the U.S. title match. Alpha Academy against Mustafa Ali, whatever. And Finn and Cody. Right? Because Finn Balor's doing the bidding for Judgment Day on behalf of the bloodline who have made a deal with each other. So you attach Judgment Day into that bloodline storyline. Anything that kind of attaches to the others, that's fine. But where's the long-term storyline booking? You're not getting anything like there was at WrestleMania. And I figured it was going to be a drop-off like this. Plus, we don't see any new programs coming out of WrestleMania yet. That hasn't happened either. Unless you count Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes. And that's it. Great. Is that what we want? No real answers here. And these are the kind of things I'm going to continue to worry about for as long as I need to. But there's no answer set for this at all. It sucks. I don't know what to do with that. But there's no answer for it. So let me go back real quick and I'll make mention of Backlash coming up. Listen, what they have set up for Backlash is pretty cool. I can't complain about it. So it's the Bloodline, Jimmy and Jey Uso and Solo Sikoa versus Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn and Matt Riddle, Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar. We already mentioned the SmackDown Women's title, U.S. title, Seth Rollins and Omos, Bianca Belair, Io Sky, Raw Women's title, Shayna wants to fight. Listen, that's all fine and good. And this is the kind of thing they're going to do. They'll prioritize what stuff goes on pay-per-view. And there are still some prominent things going on both shows that are exclusive to those shows. That's fine. I don't mind the individualizing right now so far, what they're doing. That's okay. So let's go talk about AEW real quick. I want to go ahead and bring up the pillars and focus on what they've been doing right now with it. So, as I mentioned in the description, they've been running for ever since after Revolution. MJF now has an opponent in form of the Pillars. And they found a nice way to go ahead and kind of stretch it all out. So Jungle Boy, Darby Allin, Sammy Guevara. It's a risky move. Wardlow now is TNT champion. Risky to put a younger guy holding the belt. Because Tony Khan has really taken the risk on the originals. It's no longer the veterans. The WWE mainstays that are holding on. Orange Cassidy holds the international title. Right? Jimmy Hayter holds on to the women's world title. The Jade Cargill TBS title, right? Tony Khan's definitely trying to make it where it's not the former WWE guys that are holding on to everything. Now it's completely opposite. It's all originals. It's the one thing that Eric Bischoff would have never done. But Tony Khan is. They're very consistent right now on focusing on certain stars. So MJF, Sammy, the Pillars have been focused every week for months, for a couple of months now. Wardlow and his run back to going to get the TNT title back, that's been very focused. Blackpool Combat Club against the Elite, that's been focused. Pretty consistent every week. And then you have other things they do that are kind of alternating. But they could do that where there's more consistency and more frequency of certain stars that you want to see every week, which is important for their brand. Because now they don't have Ring of Honor to worry. The Ring of Honor is kind of separating that roster of what they have to make it better. So with that said, they set up the match where, and we don't really know where they're going to go. It's kind of predictable where Sammy Guevara was supposed to go ahead and win over Darby Allin, which he did, in order to make it where MJF was going to just pay off Sammy Guevara, do finger poke of doom, and then MJF holds on to the belt. But instead, Tony Khan makes the point of making the match now tag team match with a lot of animosity in between, which they could build quite a bit in the next week's Dynamite with Jungle Boy and Darby Allin, which they were already at odds with each other at the end because Jungle Boy showed up late to the attack that Darby Allin had, and that he feels like that if Jungle Boy was out there, maybe the things wouldn't have happened to Darby Allin like it did. And MJF and Sammy Guevara in bed together. we're still trying to figure out where that goes. Is it MJF doing the screw job to Sammy? Or will Sammy be able to continue through and he'll screw over MJF? So who's going to screw who? We know that's going to happen. That's pretty obvious on the tease. But which one will? Or will both of them kind of fall apart and then Jungle Boy or Darby Allin could be new World Heavyweight Champion? They can go with that. But now they got a chance of the Pillars 4-way. The match that would have been nice to have all together. But like the way they built it, it's very much like a Attitude Era storyline. Like kind of stretching it out where they needed to. But it's fine. Because now you got MJF and Sammy Guevara having to work together too. These teams put together with some pretty significant storylines for both. That I can appreciate. I like that part. So they did that part, and that's fine. Wardlow being strong here, that's fine too. G Cargo being strong in her match over Taya Valkyrie, winning once again, that's fine. People might not be liking the Outcast faction, taking on Britt Baker, Jamie Hayter, and the like. I don't mind it. I think it's a complete disappointment, but there are no other women that the Outcasts are taking out. I think they did somewhat, but they could use more, I guess. Because they're also were attacking Riho. It's fine. And then I'm trying to think about they have the Elite, who's already been dealing with Blackpool Combat Club. That's great. And now they added a new wrinkle with Konosuke Takeshita. And the setup there, Konosuke could defect to Blackpool Combat Club. I actually do like the idea of that. I don't mind that if that was the case. But at least there's some freshness in storylines here. Blackpool Combat Club completely turning heel, dealing with the likes of Adam Cole, Adam Page and Kenny Omega. Adam Cole and Chris Jericho now in a feud. I love that. You add Roddy Strong in the mix. That's nice. And then I'm trying to think who else. It's a lot more that can be figured out and considered. But at this moment right now, we're just waiting. But I like what's being done so far. At least you have, with MJF, you put the risk on putting him as champion. Fine with me. I think he's done as good a job as he can be for being World Heavyweight Champion here. MJF has been consistent in his performance. And I like where the Pillars have gone forward in the promo ability and stepping up their game in the ring to be looked at as main eventers. And to be looked at as potential opponents against MJF. It's a fascinating storyline because there's so many young stars here that are part of this. You don't see this happen often. But I give Tony Khan a lot of credit for trying this. And see where it goes. Because they're not getting a major dip in the ratings right now. It's like, let's do it. You got the Owen Hart Invitational coming back. That's going to be fun. You got that little extra wrinkle to deal with. Among other things. Not only do the Elite have to deal with the issues with Blackpool Combat Club, they still have to deal with the House of Black. That still hasn't gone away yet. There's a lot there. There's just more stuff going on right now. But the belts matter over there. And I think there's something to be said about a company that they have a good setup of having stars that go up against their World Heavyweight Champion. Okay, and go from there. But in WWE, they don't have it. They haven't figured that out yet. They conceded to give a consolation prize to the rest of these guys. It's almost like a participation trophy. Somebody needs to be considered that has to be outspoken and outright and be built up into such a credible opponent for Roman Reigns. Who is that? Do they make that Matt Riddle? Do they make that Cody Rhodes? And then how long does that feud last before he's chewed up and spat away? Because Roman takes care of most of these feuds pretty quickly, right? And that's where they are right now. I don't know. We'll figure it out. So next month, we get a couple of nice pay-per-views to go and think about and look at, which is fun. And we'll just wait. Like, I'll tell you, it's a very busy end of the month. When we get to Memorial Day weekend. Impact Under Siege, May 26th. Night of Champions, May 27th. Double or Nothing, May 28th. And NXT will have Battleground on May 28th as well. That's crazy. And as far as I know, Battleground, NXT Battleground will run at the same time as Double or Nothing. How about that, huh? That's wild. All right, well, we'll leave it there. That's the show for tonight. Thanks for listening in. Subscribing to the show as you always do. WrestlingIsReal.com is the website where you can find everything that's on the show. Please subscribe to the show and please rate and review on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you find your podcasts. Social media, at King of Podcasts on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. You can find all my programming, talk, and music programming. You can find it all in one place, kingofpodcasts.com. My other shows include the Broadcasters Podcast and Depraved and Debaucherous. And I hope you'll check those shows, and I hope you'll come back next week for the Wrestling is Real podcast, because wrestling needs us.